Hey guys, this is Eliza and welcome back to a new video. So today I'll be talking about my most anticipated releases for January of 2022. I was going to do like a full year one, but I decided just to do it by month because especially for January there's a lot of new releases that I'm really excited for, so that video would have been huge. So we're just going to talk about January for now, but let's jump straight into it. I'll sit over here so you guys can see the books. So I'll talk about these in order of date they release. So first we have books releasing on the 4th of January. So firstly we have In Every Generation by Kendall Blake. So I have Kendall Blake's mystery thriller, what's it called? All These Bodies on my TBR for 2022. It's on my 22 books to read in 2022 list. And so is the third book in her, I can't even think what that series name is called. The One Dark Crown, Three Dark Crowns series. That's what the series is called? That's what the first book's called. But that one. I have the third and fourth book that I still haven't read. So I plan on reading those this year, but also I saw this one pop up on the list and it sounds so freaking good. I didn't even read the full synopsis, but I'll read like the section at the start. And it says, the first in an all-new series by New York Times bestselling author Kendall Blake continues the world of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, featuring the next generation of Scoobies and Slayers who must defeat a powerful new evil. A new Slayer for a new generation. That sounds really interesting. I'm not huge into like Buffy the Vampire Slayer or anything. Never really watched it or anything, but yeah, sounds interesting and I'm very keen to check it out. And I do really enjoy Kendall Blake's writing. Obviously I haven't read her newest book yet, but yeah, hopefully it is good. But it sounds really good and the cover is like in your face. So that is the first one on the list. So next we have The Ivory Key by Akshaya Raman. I don't know how to pronounce that name, I'm sorry. But this is a first in an Indian inspired duology, which I don't think I've read an Indian inspired duology. I've read a fair few Asian inspired ones, but in general they're usually Chinese inspired or Japanese even. So don't know if I've actually read an Indian specific one. This one follows 4 siblings, so assuming it's going to be a multiple point of view, but it follows 4 siblings who do not really get along, don't really like each other, their paths have taken them in different directions and they're just not close, but the magic in their kingdom has like disappeared or something, and that's the only thing keeping them from war with the neighboring countries, so they go on a hunt to find the Iron Key, which is meant to be unlock some other magic. But it sounds really fascinating and I'm keen to read an Indian inspired fantasy, so that one is on my list. And it's duology, so once the second book comes out it should be easier to finish the series. I like that. So next we have The Helen Princess by Tiana Warner, and this one, the cover stood out to me, was the main reason I picked it up. But this one is also LGBT. It is a thrilling, intricate, own voice as LGBT fantasy, and it's based on Norse mythology. So I didn't read the full synopsis because I was hooked by that mostly, but from what I can tell it's about our main character who has always wanted to be, is it Valkyrie? Is that how you pronounce that? But yeah, she's always wanted to be one of them, but at the moment she is a stable hand until she sees a vision where she is leading the Valkyrie on a 6-legged horse named Selfnir or something. Yeah, so that sounded really intriguing. I stopped reading then, I didn't read the rest of the synopsis, but obviously it's her trying to make that vision come true, I guess. It sounds really, really interesting. I love the idea of an LGBT Norse mythology themed fantasy that's also thrilling. Hopefully it's gonna be good, and this cover is stunning, so fingers crossed. Next we have It'll End Like This by Kyra Lee, and this one is a YA horror thriller, which I'm intrigued by that. Don't even need to read the synopsis really, but I'm intrigued. So this sounds really interesting and I'm gonna read out the synopsis. It's not very long because I don't know how to describe this, but it is a psychological thriller. So it's described as, for fans of the cheerleaders and Sadie comes a psychological thriller that reminds us that in real life, endings are rarely as neat as happily ever after. A contemporary take on the Lizzie Borden story that explores how grief can cut deep. I'm actually familiar with that. I don't know what that is. But Charlotte lost her mother 6 months ago and still no one will tell her exactly what happened the day she mysteriously died. They say her heart stopped, but Charlotte knows deep down that there's more to the story. The only person who gets it is Charlotte's sister Maddie. Maddie agrees, people's hearts don't just stop. There are too many questions left unanswered for the girls to move on, but their father is moving on with their mother's personal assistant, and both girls are sure that she's determined to take everything that's theirs for herself. Now the only way to get their lives back is for Charlotte and Maddie to decide how this story ends themselves. Sounds really interesting. I don't know what that entails, but I'm intrigued, so that one is on the list. So that was all the books for the 4th. Now moving on to books releasing on the 11th of January. So firstly, for books releasing on the 11th, we have A Flicker in the Dark by Stacey Willingham, and this one sounds amazing. This one is an adult thriller. Sounds amazing. So basically, Chloe, our main character, when she was younger, 6 teenagers went missing and her father was arrested as a serial killer, and she and her family had to deal with the repercussions of that. I don't actually know if the father was a serial killer. It doesn't hint that he wasn't, so I'm assuming he was actually the serial killer, but they had to deal with that, and she's now 20 years later getting married and has finally kind of got her life sorted, and then teenage girls start going missing and she is seeing similarities between this one and the case that happened 20 years ago. But I love, personally, like, it's a very specific trope, but I love mystery thrillers or mysteries or whatever that deal with a case now and a case like 20 years ago or whatever it was. Like the Truly Devious, where they deal with the case at the time, as well as she is trying to solve the Ellingham case, which was like years ago. That type of thing really fascinates me. So this one, hopefully we'll get to see like flashbacks or something from the original case. But yeah, I really love that premise. So definitely had to add that one to the list when I found it. Oh, I just realized that I missed one that released on the 4th. So Where the Drowned Girls Go by Shauna Maguire. This is book 7 in the Wayward Children series. I won't speak about this one specifically, but the first book, Every Heart a Doorway, they're right there. Basically, in this world, doorways to other worlds exist, and the first book, Every Heart a Doorway, basically is like this boarding house school thing for people that have come back from doorways and can no longer handle living in today, like living in our world. And the first book is kind of a mystery, but then from then on it's fairly well mostly fantasy. There's like little mystery elements in there too, but each of the books follow different characters in their worlds, like in their doorways, and some of them are prior, some of them are after. I'm not sure what this one is going to be. I haven't read a synopsis, I don't want to, but they're super short. It's a really amazing series. Highly recommend the audiobook, they're really good. I definitely had to add that one to the list. No questions asked. Actually, I need to have a look on NetGalley and see if it's up there, because I usually get approved for the Shauna Maguire books, so I might check that out and I might be able to read it early. So back to the 11th releases, we have Cold the Night, Fast the Wolf by Meg Long. Now, I've never heard of this book. I saw it on the list because I was going, like, I searched January releases just to make sure I hadn't missed anything, and most of these I had at least heard of. This one I had not, but the cover intrigued me and I opened it and read the synopsis and it sounds interesting. So I added it to the list. But basically for this one, our main character Sina, who's 16, she angers local gangsters and basically has to get the hell out of Dodge in order to save herself. And a team of scientists offer to help her get off this frozen planet, but on one condition. She has to win or get to the end of this race, a sled race, which she said to herself she would never compete in again because it claimed both her mother's lives. I love books that have like animal familiars, like not that this wolf is probably a familiar, but like, you know, a bond between an animal and a person. I really love those stories, and this one sounds really interesting. It sounds like it's going to be thrilling because it's going to be mostly following the race, I think. So I'm very intrigued. So I'm just going to make a guess really quickly because I received Fairy Loot and I haven't read what the January book is going to be, but I have a feeling it might be this one. I don't even know what the themes are, but I just have a feeling. Because you know how there's like certain books that come out that they kind of gravitate towards? I have a feeling. Unrelated, but I'm talking about Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan. Reading the synopsis for this one, there is a lot to unpackage. There seems to be a lot going on. This is a Chinese-inspired fantasy. It is a debut novel, and I believe it's the first book in a series. I don't know how many books the series is planned to have. But basically our main character has grown up on a moon, very isolated, where her mother has been hiding her from the Celestial Emperor, and apparently the Emperor exiled her mother, so there must be some beef there somewhere. But our main character's magic flares basically, and she is discovered and she has to flee, leaving her mother behind, and she ends up in the celestial kingdom. I hate the word celestial kingdom, and ends up getting an opportunity to learn archery and magic alongside the Emperor's son. And I'm pretty sure there's a budding romance there, which, as long as it's not too much, it'll be fine. But the rest of the book sounds interesting, so I'm curious. But anyway, something happens to her mother and she has to go on this quest to save her mother. That was a little bit disjointed, but like there's a whole lot of synopsis and like every sentence there's a different thing going on. But yeah, sounds really, really intriguing. The cover is stunning and I have a feeling it might be in Fairy Loot just based on, you know, past experience, like the books I usually tend to include. It's got a romance, it's a fantasy, it's got a stunning cover. I just have a feeling, like, I don't know how I said, I have no idea what the theme is. I haven't read the synopsis-y bit, that, like the little bit they include to kind of give you a hint of what it could be. I don't know, but I have a feeling. I'm probably completely wrong, but you know. So next for the 11th releases, we have Night Render by Jodie Meadows. So I love the, is it the Fallen Isles trilogy, I think is what it's called, by Jodie Meadows, like the first one being Before She Ignites. I love that series, so I was really interested when I saw that she's releasing a new book, and this one sounds so freaking intriguing. I have not read the full synopsis. I'm just going to read like the bit that I did read. So it says, kingdoms will fall, gods will die, and hearts will be broken. In the middle of nothingness is the continent of salvation. Reality bends easily here. Villages disappear, forests burn forever. Pockets of inconsistent time are everywhere, their boundaries strung with yellow ribbon, and the three kingdoms of salvation have been at war for 1,000 years. But the greatest threat is the malice, an incursion from the demon plane slowly tearing its way through the world's weakest seams. Seams that once split will lead to the total unraveling of night and day, light and dark, life and death. Sorry, what now? Yeah, that is the bit that I read. I've kind of put myself back in center again. There's the books. It sounds really intriguing. This cover is gorgeous. I like Jodie Meadows' writing, so I'm intrigued. Hopefully it's good. Nope, that was my dog sneezing. So lastly, for the 11th, we have another one whose synopsis I read like a quarter of, and I was like, I am sold. I don't know what this one is about besides this, but it is The Storyteller by Catherine Williams, and to be honest, I don't like this cover. It's not my thing, but it says, with the mystery of Maureen Johnson, which is one of my favorite mystery writers, and Brittany Cavallaro, which I haven't read anything from, and the historical intrigue of Romanoff, which I did enjoy. This enthralling story follows a teenage girl's quest to uncover the truth behind her secretive great-aunt Anna, who just might be the long-lost Russian princess Anastasia. Now, this one is described as part romance, so a little bit concerned about that, but the mystery and historical fiction side of things is what's dragging me in, so hopefully it will be good. So now moving on to books released on the 25th of January. There's only a couple for this one, but firstly we have At the End of Everything by the author whose name I still have no idea how to pronounce, but they wrote Even If We Break, which I really enjoyed. It is a thriller. I'm confused also because the genres that it's labeled in Goodreads is young adult, contemporary, LGBT fiction, makes sense. But then we've got sci-fi, suspense, queer, post-apocalyptic, dystopian, mystery thriller. So I have no fucking idea what it really is. But it's described as heartbreaking, emotional, and timely page turner that will keep you on the edge of your seat. I'm just gonna read the synopsis a little bit because it's crazy. But The Hope Juvenile Treatment Center is ironically named. No one has hope for the delinquent teenagers who have been exiled there. The world barely acknowledges that they exist. Then the guards at Hope start acting strange, and one day they don't show up. But when the teens band together to make a break from the facility, they encounter soldiers outside the gates. There's a rapidly spreading infectious disease outside, and no one can leave their houses or travel without a permit. Sounds familiar? Which means that they're stuck at Hope. At this time, no one is watching out for them at all. As supplies quickly dwindle and deadly plague tears through their ranks, the group has to decide whom among them they can trust and figure out how they can survive in a world that has never wanted them in the first place. So this is giving me current vibes, but it's also kind of giving me This Mortal Coil vibes because like dystopian and like trying to survive and shit. I don't know, but that's like where my head went, and I love This Mortal Coil, so I'm intrigued but also very curious. Like, I don't know what the hell is gonna go on, but it sounds like dystopian to me. Hey, so I am jumping in here to finish this video because I don't know what the hell happened with that clip. I was editing it, like I'm just editing it now, but I was just editing and then the clip, the rest of it is just black with no audio. So I don't know what the fuck happened, but let's continue. Sorry I look like a bit of a mess, but I am in editing mode, not in filming mode right now. So next we have The Red Palace by June He, which is the author of The Silence of Bones, which I read this year? Last year? I don't know. I read it and really enjoyed it. I love how she twists historical with mystery. Love that. So this is the same. This one is set in Korea, 1758, and the main character is an illegitimate daughter, so she has had to struggle her way to the position that she holds in the palace as a nurse. She's just trying to keep her head down, do her own thing, but then her friend and mentor ends up the main suspect of the murders of 4 women. So she starts investigating because she doesn't believe that her friend and mentor did this, so she starts her own investigation to figure out the hell is going on. I said, I love the historical mystery setting. June He's recommended for fans of Kerry Maniscalco, which I get that, and there's less romance from what my experience is with June He's writing. There's less romance in her books than there is in the Kerry Maniscalco books. That's why I didn't finish the Stalking Jack the Ripper series, and I don't particularly love the series as a whole because it got too romance heavy for me. But I love the mystery and the historical side of things. So this one sounds really good. Very keen. So lastly, for books releasing in January, another January 25th one, this is Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes. Forgot the letter. This sounds absolutely incredible. Like, it sounds amazing. It is hardcore, giving me Contagion by Aaron Bowman vibes, which is one of my favorite books. Do not read the sequel. If you love the first book, don't bother with the sequel. Nope. But this is giving me those vibes. And this is described as the Titanic meets The Shining. What the fuck? So I haven't even read the full synopsis of this, but the top section says it is a sci-fi horror in which a woman and her crew board a decades-lost luxury cruiser and find the wreckage of a nightmare that hasn't yet ended. A ghost ship, a salvaged crew, unspeakable horrors. Sounds amazing. But like I said, it gives me Contagion vibes because, like, this one, they're going into an abandoned cruise ship. In Contagion, they're out in space and they get an SOS from a planet that should be abandoned, and they go and check it out. And the horrors, it is so freaking thrilling. It's amazing. And this is 100% giving me the same vibes. So if it is anything like Contagion, I am going to love it. So I'm extremely keen for that one. Out of the list, that one I think I am the most excited to read. So that is the books that I'm looking forward to that are releasing in the month of January 2022. What the hell? It's 2022, Nelly. But let me know what book you're most excited for January. Is it on this list? Should I check it out? Let me know. And that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next one.